What is going on, YouTube? This is your host, Lawrence, over at Mighty Comics and Collectibles, and today it's going to be a little bit of a different video. I had somebody reach out to me who wanted me to do a video about new collectors coming into the hobby, making mistakes, feel like they're being gatekeeped, if that's even a word, I don't know, but I wanted to give you my experience, what helped me along the way, but also tell a story, and I think this story is quite important. When I got back into collecting comics in 2006, maybe a little bit earlier than that, I decided to go to New York Comic Con, and it was the very first New York Comic Con ever. That's why I say 2006, because that's when it was. I went and looked up the date. But with that said, I had a bunch of childhood comics that I brought to the show. Now, I knew there wasn't anything spectacular, but I did think that some of the books had some value. And I remember going up to a certain booth. I'm not going to give you their name, but let's just say they were a very prominent booth at most shows, and I'll leave it at that. And I went up to the booth and I spoke to a young woman who was very, very nice to me. And she said, I have to get you someone with more knowledge on the books. This way they can kind of get you some price info, stuff like that. And again, I hadn't looked up prices on books, and I can't tell you how long. Probably not till the early 90s in Wizard magazine, right? With that said, a gentleman came over a little bit while later, and he was incredibly rude. I'm not joking to you guys. Incredibly rude. In fact, I said to him, listen, I have some of these childhood comics that I've had in my collection forever. I really like to sell them, get what I can, and then buy a Hulk one, because at that point I was looking to buy bigger keys. And he said, why don't you go over and ask that gentleman right over there if he would take any of these books and put the value towards a Hulk one. Incredibly rude. And I looked over, and who was sitting right there? It was Steranko himself. And you could tell because he had on, the turtleneck, the big wig, all that fun stuff. I recognized him at that point. And he was just so rude, and I could not believe it that I just took my stuff and I walked away. I did not even go back to the booth. Years later, I ended up going back to another New York Comic Con. This was 4 years ago, and buying a ton of books. But I learned a lot across the way. My whole point telling you guys this story is that everybody's going to make mistakes. And there's a lot of people in this community, whether they be dealers, other collectors, people who have been in the hobby forever who just act like fucking assholes. Like the person I spoke to at the con when I was just starting to get back into comics. Little did he know, later, about a year later, I bought my first AF-15. And again, a couple of years later, I traded that up for another AF-15. So don't be discouraged by people in this hobby who are just jerks, because there's always someone else in the hobby who's just as nice, like myself or some of the other guys or gals in this hobby who might want to help you guys learn the process of buying and selling books, which books to buy, so on and so forth. The one thing I'll say about myself is I've always been in the realm of knowing what keys I want to own, what was important, what wasn't. Some people may be a little bit intimidated by that, and they don't know what to buy. Maybe have their favorite character, but they don't know what issues are important for that character. Do yourself a favor. Ask someone. And if someone gives you a shitty attitude like they gave me at New York Comic Con 2006, the very first New York Comic Con, walk away and find someone else who's willing to help you. Don't abandon your love for comics. Don't abandon your love for characters. If you're just getting into it, it's not worth it. There are plenty of people in this hobby who are willing to help. Now, with that said, I've done videos before about rules to comic collecting. I'll try to drop it at the end of this video for you guys. You guys can check that out. But, know the keys for every character that you want to buy for. Don't just go willy-nilly out and buy issues, because that's the easiest way to spend money. I'm going through something right now where I'm realizing certain books that I did buy, have a tendency to lose money. It happens, guys. Everybody in this hobby is going to lose money at some point. You're never going to go in a collectible hobby, whether it's comics, cards, whatever it is, any type of nostalgia, any type of historical significance. It's all about timing, and it's all about what you pay for that piece of collectible, right? So with that said, don't give up. If you want to be a collector of comics, ask someone who you find reputable. There's plenty of people out there who are willing to help, like I said before. But with that said, don't just go out there and buy willy-nilly. Don't go out there and buy exclusives. Don't go out there and buy stuff that down the line is not worth anything unless you really love it and you have no interest in the characters themselves. Because those exclusives and new books and stuff like that, they're meant for reading, and they're meant for, people who love the artwork on the covers. But at the end of the day, if you're worried about money, you have to stick to key first appearances, classic covers, and important historical books within the genre. And that goes for any type of collectible, in my opinion. So I hope this video helps you. I wanted to get this story out to other people out there that, yes, even me at some point met with rude people in this collectible hobby. So keep your head up, find the people that you trust, that you can lean on, they give you advice, they can help you out. And the one last thing I'll say is get yourself some type of subscription, either to GPA, which can give you recent sales data. You can watch my channel. I give a lot of recent sales data. There's websites like Go Collect as well that give you data if you're willing to pay either a monthly fee or a yearly fee. That's the best money you're going to spend in this hobby because it keeps you from making mistakes. And that doesn't mean that you still can't make mistakes, because even yours truly makes them all the time. But it's part of the hobby. And if it makes you feel like shit that you make a mistake, then maybe you shouldn't be in this hobby whatsoever, because it's just bound to happen. It happens with all collectibles. So I hope this video helps you. Again, look for that video at the end of this one for my 5 collecting rules that I truly try to stick by, because I do think they're willing to help. Hope you guys enjoy the video. Happy collecting, and I'll talk to you guys soon.